All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to DEscussions. It's the podcast where we explore the intersection of education, technology, and innovation to spark ideas and conversations to drive meaningful change. I'm Brad Denison, your host and EdTech enthusiastic nerd, here to connect with you and our thought leaders across the country on strategies that transform the way we teach and learn. Today, we're excited to welcome James Taylor, senior partner at Pronto. They're a communication platform focused on breaking down barriers in online learning. James brings a wealth of experience in digital engagement and EdTech strategy, and under his leadership, Pronto has become a powerful tool for real-time, human-centered communication across institutions. So in today's episode, we're going to explore what it really means to humanize learning in the digital spaces. We're going to look at how students communicate, what it takes to create connection in a screen-first world, and how platforms like Pronto are evolving to meet the emotional and behavioral needs of learners. We're also going to take a little bit of look at the power and the responsibility that lays around things like artificial intelligence and what it looks like to design with both engagement and ethics in the digital age. So let's just jump right in. James, I hope I hit all the right notes. Did I miss anything there?
You make me sound a lot better than most, so I appreciate it, Brad. Seriously, this is awesome.
Years of practice. So we'll give you your opportunity to come and chime in on this. So tell us about your role at Pronto. Talk to us about the platform, how it got started in the education space. So who are you and what's Pronto doing?
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's a fun time at Pronto right now. We initially, and I'll share a little bit of backstory. Is, when I was in education, as I was getting my degree, one of the things that really I was passionate about was organization behavior. What are the behaviors? What are the habits? What allow us from a psychology perspective as human individuals to engage the way that we do, to drive positive outcomes, negative outcomes, right? All the above. And so through that, as I was able to come on to Pronto, one thing that was interesting was the initial start of Pronto was actually a consumer application to engage and connect individuals. Through that initial kind of breakthrough, as we started to connect with those that would utilize Pronto, time and time again, it was student learners who were saying, we need a better way to connect. We found Pronto, and so this is how we connect. And so we'd start talking about, well, what other ways are you connecting? And they'd say, well, GroupMe or WhatsApp or Discord or whatever it may be. And we thought, you know what, this is really interesting. What's missing within some of those platforms, and can we actually bridge those gaps? So that has been our goal here at Pronto within the educational landscape is truly bridging engagement gaps between our schools and our students, understanding the digital habits, the psychology behind those habits, why they interact and engage the way that they do, and then how can we actually access them in the first place to begin the engagement discussion. Too often we talk about student engagement. It's this hot topic. Not often enough do we talk about, are we actually accessing our students in the first place to engage them the way that they need to be engaged? So it's been fantastic. My journey, through Pronto, through psychology and organizational behavior and, the different experiences and things that have led me to this place in my career is pretty exciting. And it's always fun to be able to spend time, with TxDLA and with your team, Brad, as it's just a phenomenal group of individuals coming together to really drive innovation and change within an online learning arena that is ever changing. So appreciate the time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I bet you and I could have a conversation around just what we can learn from the past to the modern technologies. I espouse regularly on this podcast. I talk about it with my team on campus. People get tired of it, but there's so many things that we can learn about the history of broadcast all the way back to like the borough radio stations that were just a couple of blocks of broadcast, right? And so it really sounds like Pronto said, well, we see what's being done online. And you were able to take a time and learn from not just your educational background, but what was actually happening in the real world and what the students were actually doing, right? And so I think that's absolutely wonderful. And that was a long way to transition into the next question to let you talk about that. But when it comes to Pronto and moving forward as a communication tool, and as student expectations to continue to evolve, and as technology continues to change, and the new hot app hits the phone every other month, right? So what is Pronto headed towards next?
It's I'll tell you, there's a lot of excitement around this question, and with that, if we were to talk to our developers, they'd say, whoa, hold on. Don't commit us to anything too quickly. We're working as hard and as fast as we can. But I'll tell you this, one thing that we have found is that at Pronto, one of our taglines and something that a lot of our listeners would know is we talk about what it means to be human. And it's interesting as we've gone over the last couple of years and we talk about AI. What is AI? How does that change our world, our landscape? What does that look like? Should we fear it? Should we just embrace it? All these different things, which is really an interesting thing for us at Pronto as our focus is human connection. So where does artificial intelligence actually enable Pronto to innovate in a way that drives further human connection? So we talk about, where's Pronto going? One of the biggest things I will say is this: we thrive on creating true connection and engagement and collaboration from a classroom perspective. We thrive on watching individual learners take on a new identity as they, in a positive way, as they finally are able to communicate, right? We talk about a classroom and you have those that are loud, they engage, they raise their hands, they want to be on the front row, they're going to talk, they're going to share their thoughts no matter what. You have those that don't miss. They come to class every time, but they're what we call voyeurs. They listen, they internalize, they take that in, they have their thoughts, but they're maybe not wanting to share those out loud to the class, but they take those conversations home to their inner circles and they talk about them and they discuss them. Are we helping those individuals from an online perspective grow in an authentic and genuine way through communication because we are meeting them where they truly are? Not where we think they are, not where we think they should be or where they tell them they should be, but where they truly are. So Pronto, as a communication platform, as many know, we integrate directly into the LMS to drive, and there's a number of reasons why that's important. But as we drive into the LMS, what we find more than anything is that students begin to collaborate in a way that is authentic to them, whether through an image, a GIF, a reaction, a comment. They become a part of the lessons that are being taught, that are being learned. It's massive. So can we actually take authenticity and a genuine engagement from these students and tie that to the grade book? Can we tie that to our RSI reporting? Can we help with accreditation? The answer is yes. But are we doing it in a way that continues to drive positivity through the experience of the student and the end user? That's our goal, is to not taint that experience, but to enhance and increase it while also checking the right boxes that we need to.
And without getting too like too bigger picture of it, right? You talk about to be human, and especially like at the community college level, because we have a demographic of 15-year-olds to 75-year-olds. Like that definition of to be human, it's not exactly the same across the board. But for me, more importantly, what I feel like we have been missing are the younger generations, the Gen Z, the younger millennials. Gen Alpha is coming and we're not ready for that, right? And so what y'all are doing to meet them where they are at is absolutely great for me. And so when we talk about designing more effective tools by understanding how students actually engage in digital spaces, how do y'all narrow that down? I mean, I assume you're not looking at the big discrepancy like we are at the junior college.
Yeah, it's interesting. And it's hard, and I'll tell you it's hard because one, there's so many gaps to be bridged, and I think when you're a master of all things, you're a master of nothing, right? And so I think oftentimes we look at technology within a scholastic academic space and we say, well, can it do this? Can it do that? Can you please make sure it does this and that? Because as we're all aware, budgets are tight. We're constrained on budgets, on resources and bandwidth. So as we look at things, we start to say, where are the bridges that need to be built that truly are going to make a difference? Not just where we think it is, not assumptive, but true research-backed data that says this is going to drive change at our institutions. And because of that change, it's going to increase, obviously, the successful nature of each one of these institutions, colleges, universities, whatever that landscape may be. Every institution has its own unique difficulties and challenges. And with that, every institution has a lot of similarities. How can we bridge those gaps for each one? So I say all that, again, probably a longer answer to our focus is true student engagement. That is a hot topic, and it's something that is hard because it's a hot topic, because it's something we take very seriously. Are we helping our students engage in a way that drives further course completion? It increases the assignment submissions. It helps students matriculate and actually graduate. It helps them write down goals that come to fruition, that they can attain, that they look at and they're saying, man, not only did I attain that, but I actually know who my professor is. They know who I am. I know my classmates. I now have a network of individuals that are going to help me further succeed in life. I mean, there's so many benefits to scholastic academia that I believe the world that we live in, there's so many influencers and, I'll say individuals of high stature that look down on higher education and say, well, no, just go start a business, or just go do this or go do that. Go get experiential learning, which experiential learning is amazing. But man, are there benefits to what we do in higher education that you cannot get anywhere else? Yes. And one of the biggest pieces of that are the individuals around us, our professors, our counselors, our TAs who have years of experience in these fields. They're teaching us everything that they know so that we can go and build on the foundation that they have created. Because of that, are we actually building a technology that enables that human connection, that true engagement that says, okay, now I'm getting value in education beyond anything I could have ever imagined? That takes all of us. It takes every human connection that we can make. And that's going to be different for every one of us. So can we create an experience that's different for every single one of us? And we hope to do that through Pronto to ensure that that connection can take place.
If Reddit can exist with teenagers to the elderly, I think you can pull it off. I say with big humor. So real quick, just to let everybody know, you're listening to DEscussions. Just a real quick reconnect for you in case you jumped into the middle of the episode for no good reason. I've got James Taylor here, senior partner at Pronto. They are a communication platform, and they are focused on the idea of being human. I'm boiling that down to a very simple statement from James that I liked from the first half there. So we were talking about engagement. So meaningful engagement with payoff is really what matters in that phrasing to me. So what have you found or Pronto found to be most effective when it comes to technology and creating real connection and reducing that isolation that can happen in the online environment?
Well, as we all know, and whether or not we want to admit it or not, isolation is the thief of joy. I think feeling alone is one of the worst feelings in the world. Whether it's through difficulty or even, gosh, I can't imagine going through the most joyous day of my life and having to do it alone, not being able to share that with anybody. And we look at the world that so many of our students live in today and the isolation that it naturally creates. We look at social media. I'd say the vast majority of images or posts that we see are some of the highlight reels of individuals that and that's all we see is highlight reel after highlight reel. And we look at our own lives or our own experiences and we say, well, why is that not me every day? Why am I not sitting on a beach every day? And why can't I have more money? Why can't I know more people? Why can't I create more experiences? When in reality, so many of us are actually sitting in the same places. And I'd wager to say so many of these individuals that we follow on social media oftentimes feel isolated. And their way of not feeling isolated is actually posting the very best of themselves, right? So we talk about isolation in the scholastic world. This is something that we take very seriously at Pronto because there are so many individuals in our classrooms, whether that be in a physical setting or an online setting, who feel isolated. They feel like they don't have a voice. They feel like They want to just shout from the rooftops and see if anybody's there. And oftentimes that becomes one of the most difficult things for our faculty members, because if an individual hasn't been in the LMS for 2 weeks, we just have to assume they're disengaged, and we have to assume that they're wasting their time, when in reality, that individual, all they may need is just a hand to hold. Somebody that can lift them up and say, hey, how are you doing? What can I do to help you get out of the water? Not just to like a gasp of air. How can I help pull you out of the water? Is this semester heavier than you thought? Is this course more difficult than you thought? What can I do to provide? Do you need an extension on a date, right? Whatever that may look like, we begin to be proactive in our efforts. But if I'm trying to do that through email, I have failed. If I'm trying to do that through my LMS inbox, let's take Canvas, for example. If I'm trying to do that through a Canvas inbox, I have failed, right? Now, we then cross a line. If I'm trying to do that through GroupMe or text message, now there's a compliance area or security where we're saying, man, we've got to protect our students. We've got to protect our faculty. We can't cross those lines. So is there a place where I can truly pull a student out of isolation, or a student that finally decides to chirp in and say, hey, I love that thought. Thanks for sharing. Can I jump in there and say, hey, Brad, thanks for your contribution today. I love what you added. Thank you so much. That added so much to what we're learning this week. I then get to have that immediate dopamine hit, that psychological win that says, oh my gosh, I just helped the whole team win today. I'm going to come back tomorrow. That is where Pronto is helping isolation in and of itself. It's providing a bridge to connect our students to our faculty, our students to one another, our students to their TAs, our TAs to their students, to say, you are not in this alone and you don't have to be. We're here for you. We've got your back, and let's link arms and go do this thing together. When people feel that, it's a pretty fulfilling thing, and we get to sit front row here at Pronto and hear story after story of that being the case. And it's to not get emotional, it's incredibly humbling to see.
I like it. Y'all are providing, Pronto and other similar functional entities out there are providing services to improve communication in the LMS. And it's not y'all's job to teach the instructor how to necessarily be an internet meme-ified, like understand how to internet with their students. Like, that's on me and my ilk. But the platform and giving more outlets and easier ways to do it is really impressive. And so then it comes back to, those of us in my positions and my team, that idea of, for faculty, adding to a digital overload, right? So how do you, when you're working with Pronto, how do you balance creating engaging communication tools that they'll add to that digital overload for faculty and students?
It's one of the questions we get maybe more than any, Brad, and that is, well, is it just another app? Is it another thing, right? Is it adding to that overload that you just described? Which is interesting. We have to change the paradigm of how people think, and that is this. For so long, we have backpacked off of technologies in hopes to utilize their features and functionality to do what we need it to from a communication standpoint. What I mean by that is, hey, we're going to use an email. And people will say, well, we give everyone a student-owned email. They know that they should check their email. And we'll say, well, understood. But if the first time that this individual ever used an email was so that they could create a login to get into Instagram or Snapchat, then their psychological paradigm of what email is does not align with what we are trying to, push upon them. Within Scholastic Academia, we have found that we have tried to backpack, or we compete with competing priorities in the lives of our students. And we oftentimes expect them to make sure everything is in that one spot. When we are able to consolidate all communication into one singular platform that is purpose-built for education, that is what we call an LMS system. when we're able to build upon the experience that a student has within an LMS in a genuine, authentic way, yes. Is it one more thing? Yes. But is it actually addition by subtraction? Yes. In almost every case that we see, by adding Pronto, we are able to deliberately take away many of the time that is wasted in other areas that are not working. So we actually have found that on average, professors that are faculty members that are utilizing Pronto save on average about an hour and a half every single day of communication because they're in an area that's working. Right now, is it a slight change from what maybe they're used to? Yes, but that's something we work with them through, and it's actually a pretty easy change. It's the right hill to climb. I'll say that. But does it provide immense amounts of savings of time for the student and for the faculty member? Yes. So again, I'd just say probably a longer answer there, Brad, but I'd say it's addition by subtraction, and we find that the impact gained is one worth I'll say worth fighting for, and that's something that we work on every single day.
I think a lot of people in my kind of position of training our faculty, working with our faculty and students, like we do know there are times we're going to train them on a technology that we hope to improve and replace with something better later. And so like in D2L and the discussion boards, yes, it's feasible to insert images and videos and audio clips, et cetera, but the extra work that goes into it, to your point of saving that time, is very valuable. So we're going to end on a fun question, hopefully. We're going to say, James, what's one surprising lesson you've learned while growing Pronto and helping people connect online?
I think the most surprising thing for me, and I'll tell you this, it's both been surprising and fulfilling in the same breath, is the thought that my mom used to always share when she'd walk into my room and she'd say, "Did you clean your room?" And I'd say, "Yeah." And she'd say, "I'm going to come check it out." She'd walk into my room and she'd say, "Hey, thank you, first and foremost." Mm-hmm. And she'd make me feel good about it. And she'd say, "Thank you. This looks much better." And then she'd kind of sit down with me and she'd say, "Let's clean it together now. Let's spend a little bit longer and let's do it the right way so that next week at this time, we don't have to clean it again. You're already on top of it. So it's a little bit of a pickup and then you can be off with your friends." And she went on, and this is a lesson that so many of us have learned. Do we apply it in every aspect of our lives? Probably not. I'm still trying to be better in a number of areas, but it is this: when you do something right the first time, it's amazing how much you don't have to go back and re-clean your room or remake your bed, right? When you do it right the first time, things happen. And I think with us here at Pronto, there's been a lot of, I'll say, catalysts that we've tried to create within a digital landscape and within educational landscape that oftentimes, because of the size, because of how many individuals are involved, cannot move as quickly as sometimes we want it to. And that's something Brad, you and I have talked about is, hey, there are other things at hand than just Pronto. Whereas on my mind, it's like, wait a second, but if we get communication right, that can change so many other things, right? Expectations, when expectations are understood, expectations begin to be met. And I took that and I thought, well, can't we help things move faster? When in reality, it's not that things need to move faster. They just need to be done right. Let's not work harder. Let's work smarter. Let's do it the right way. And I'll tell you, thanks to so many, and in Texas specifically, so many of the schools that we've been fortunate enough to work with in Texas who have helped us learn and taught us the right way to do things, the partnerships that we have, the lessons learned, it's been rad, to say the least. And I can't thank so many that, might even listen to this, that we've worked with at the schools in Texas and across the country, where I say, man, I wish and I hope that Pronto has given them as much learning as we feel we have learned from them, which is cool.
Good. All right, James. Well, again, this has been DEscussions. I'm Brad Denison, your EdTech neat shut-in, loves the internet a little bit too much probably and wouldn't find it that isolating. I've been chatting with senior partner at Pronto, James Taylor, and we've been talking about Pronto. It is, let's go with an efficient meaningful engagement tool, and they are working towards doing everything they can to make communication in online courses as human as possible. James, is there anything you'd like to add before we go?
Hey, appreciate everyone. We absolutely love TxDLA. We absolutely love Texas, all the schools there, and the schools that we work with outside. But cannot thank you enough, everyone that's listening, for what you do. Oftentimes, education is a thankless job, and you deserve more praise and more thanks than you get on a daily basis. So thank you for what you do. We appreciate more than you know the efforts that go into your lives. So thank you.
Now, we are ensuring the success of our faculty so that they can ensure the success of their students. It is collaborative from third-party integration on down. So thank you as well, James. So I thank you for your work and for the conversation today. And I do hope to have you back. I would love to do a history lesson deep dive comparing broadcast media to online and see where we overlap.
Let's do it for sure. That'd be awesome.
All right, brother. Well, you take care. Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to hit stop recording because I got plenty of things to fade out of now.